Welcome back, guys, to the Real Life Fishing Podcast. On this episode, when I kind of visioned on making the podcast, giving Arkansas anglers a chance to get a platform to go out, talk about fishing, and just for us to get more about them. This episode was like perfect to what I visioned and dreamed about, man. Like this one, this is episode 18. They've all been, you can say they're all good, right? But like this one might be one of my favorites. And I know it said Arkansas anglers, and we've had 18 episodes, and there was so far 2 or 3 maybe kind of out of state. I can't think of it off the top of my head for sure, 2. But this episode, guys, is, we talk fishing and we talk life and get into it, guys. Buzz Sawyer, which y'all are going to hear more about Buzz on the podcast. Man, Buzz, I'm friends with, and y'all kind of going to get to find out. His son, Tyler, played baseball. I played baseball with him. We went to high school together. Tyler and got into fishing more here lately. We're kind of getting to that. But Buzz fished a lot growing up, and then kids happened. And Tyler was a big baseball player. Buzz's daughter got real big in the dance or cheer. Sorry, I don't know which one. That dance or cheer, one of those. And but now she fished as well. So Buzz still fished, but he didn't just go into the tournaments. But Buzz talked about how he's a family man. He put a lot of his things aside to put the kids and family first. And man, we get into it. And Buzz, here talks about how much his dad meant to him. And Buzz recently, guys, as I know this podcast is his chance, but he won the Mr. Bass Classic after coming back last year. First year doing the tournaments. The big tournaments, like the pro circuit here that we have here in Arkansas, the Mr. Bass. He had his ups and downs in it, but he qualified for the Classic and won the Classic, which was at Lake Darnell in the fall. Tough event, 2 days of fishing, but guys, it's not easy to win one of those. And he ended up winning it, and it'll be something he'll never forget. And he'll win other tournaments. We even mentioned he won a tournament this last year with his son. That was special to him, but the Classic, huge, just winning it against the type of anglers that we have. Speaking of father-son duos, my podcast has been going pretty quick, but speaking of father-son duos, Trent and Ricky Owens. Trent and his dad just won the Trader Bills at Lake Ouachita. Shout out to them. Y'all guys heard me talk about Trent before. I worked with Trent with Futrell, talked to him quite a bit. Ouachita has been good to him this year. I will say that. He got second at Mr. Bass. He won the Rusty Hook the day before Mr. Bass. He won another event at Ouachita in December. He didn't even practice for the Mr. Bass tournament, guys. He fished the Rusty Hook, didn't practice for it. They won, and then he won this one. So sometimes practice is overrated. I say it's overrated, but y'all guys know that his dad and him, both hammers on the Hot Springs Lakes. Shout out to Trent and Ricky. I say big win. I'm going to try to get Trent on the podcast. Trent already told me no at one point. I'm going to try. Speaking of not saying no, Buzz said yes, but Buzz, guys, was really nervous about this. I get it. A lot of the guys around here, this is just not what they're, they're not done, not used to. And people around Buzz's age, they're humble. They're real quiet. They don't, they're not all about the social media and, and doing this and that. But man, thanks Buzz for being on. Did a great job. Like I said, did a great job. So just going out there. Now, guys, any other tournaments? We got this weekend the BFL and Mr. Bass, I believe, is both at DeGray. I could be wrong. I know the BFL is. I think Mr. Bass is the next day. Give my reports and everything on that. For me, on the water, fishing's been up and down lately. I've been doing a lot of the off-water, on the water, electronic lessons, offshore fishing. Typically, we either hammer them or we don't. This time of year it's not really the best to fish offshore. You can still catch fish in like that 12 to 15 foot range. Offshore, and then on them, there's some stuff you can do, but that deeper stuff, man, it's been a little tough. Now, Ouachita at times, it's been really, really good. DeGray has been tough lately. DeGray is about Marchish. It's been more tough for me in that regard, which is, I don't know, been tough for a lot of people. You can catch fish, just finding the more quality like we were in January, February is not easy. So guys, but right before I can talk and talk. But before we get in the podcast, I'd like to let you guys know, thank you for my partners, Futrell Marine, your number one dealer in the state of Arkansas. Check out their Futrell Marine Facebook page. They've been kicking up and going crazy on the social media lately. They've stepped their game up with it. You can go on their social media page and see their events they got coming up. For y'all Hot Springs guys, go out there and check out the Futrell Marine Island. Right now, they got a bunch of deals on the Ranger boats right now. And so if you're interested in that newer Ranger, back there, okay, go check it out. And also, as I mentioned earlier, my man Trent is one of the riggers there. He does a lot with the boats. But for electronics, guys, I trust people, and I trust Trent. I was going to say, if they're actually a fisherman and they get to see how this stuff works, I trust them with installing. Because, I mean, there's a lot of people that can install, but guys, I've talked to people that like do the electronics, but they don't fish. And I'm just telling you, after my experience doing my on-the-water lessons, being in 80 plus boats in the last 4 or 5 months, I see so much, and then I can share in there. So Trent being a fisherman, I trust him installing. I'm telling you. I mean, I'm just going to tell you guys, there's something about a guy being in the boat and then a guy still installing. So just shout out for Trent right there. Also, guys, Generation 3 Tire and Auto on Military Road. You know, guys, like they just partnered up with me. I talked about him on my last episode. Brady is a guy I trust down there on working on my truck. I don't know much about trucks, tires, but he is one I can trust. As people come to me to talk fishing, I go to him and I trust him. He's been working on my cars ever since I've known him. His dad is a mechanic, grandpa's a mechanic, so that's why it's called the Generation 3. 3 generation. As y'all guys know, Future Marine's a 3rd generation, and so is Generation 3 Tire. I'm all about working with family businesses. Appreciate my partners, guys, and hey, let's go get into the podcast. Here we go. Hey, Buzz, I appreciate you today coming on the Real Life and Fishing podcast. Now, guys, I'm at his place, though. As you see, I got his boat in the background, got this trophy right here we're about to talk about, man. Appreciate you being on today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Man, dude, so you've been fishing for a long time. We were just talking about it. Mm-hmm. And like everything we were just talking is good stuff. So you started fishing tournaments at 16 years old? Was that what
I
you said?
Yeah, I started fishing Redman. Doc Langley, a lot of people know him out of Hot Springs now, but he, fortunate enough, he was my neighbor, and I fished as a no-boater, so he could use his boat, but I learned a whole lot from him, and the guy definitely knew how to catch fish. He could find them every time.
You said that name earlier, and I was like, man, I've heard that name before. Yeah. And then I didn't, it's kind of cool that everybody has somebody that's a part, and so you had Doc. What are some other guys that you had that was part of your influential father? Who else?
My dad. David actually taught my dad really how to fish. He was our neighbor. Like I said, he lived a house up from us, and kind of grew up around him, and he helped my dad learn how to start bass fishing. And David was a pretty big influence because not only did I go with him when he needed to fish for a tournament, he would help me when I had a tournament. We'd go out and scout and look for fish. My dad fished, if he had it his way, 3 days a week. He was on the water Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, and so I got plenty of time with him. Had 2 different kind of when I grew up, I didn't know any better. We were throwing, Rebel weedy bars and all this little stuff, spinning reels all the time, and as I got older and started thinking, well, I don't care about catching 30, I want to catch 7. 7 was a lot of limits back then, but so we started changing over and trying to catch bigger fish,
Yeah.
And, you can catch big fish on small baits and spinning reels, but going to the bigger tack, going to the big, just trying to find 5 good ones, that started.
Awesome. So you're 16, started fishing competitively. Now, was there like a competitive side to you? Like, so I know Tyler. As you know, I played baseball with Tyler. Tyler's a little older. I always, when I saw Tyler, when I first moved to Bryant, I was 12 years old. Like, I lived outside of it, and through when y'all went to Waco the first time.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we're going back.
Yeah.
When y'all went to Waco the first time, I remember watching you guys on TV. And then somehow the next year I ended up at Bryant. Not going to say how. Like I was playing another deal, but might have ended up at Bryant. I saw the Waco thing. And Tyler was already moved up to Babe Ruth. Caleb Jobe was still in that deal.
Yeah.
But I always saw Tyler at the ballpark and had that, connection. But did you play sports as well? Like how did the competitive fishing get to, like how did you go from fishing down the bank to competitive fishing?
Yeah. Well, I did play sports. I played baseball, basketball, football. Mm-hmm. And when I got in, in high school, I tried to stick with baseball. But if you can't hit the ball, there's no room for you out there on the ball field. So I stuck with football. Actually went up and walked on at UCA. And after the first year, I got on a full scholarship and played 3 years until I broke basically broke my ankle.
Oh wow! So what position?
It was defensive end.
Defensive end. Okay, so I think that's interesting. That like now I had no idea you're a college football player,
Yeah.
athlete. For guys that y'all don't know, like playing college sports isn't easy. I coached it. Like people think, oh, I'm going to go to college, but like it's like 0.5% might make it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a small number. So
It's tough.
And it's interesting now to know that like because Tyler didn't play football. Tyler
I
was
didn't
baseball.
want him to. Really.
Okay, you didn't want him to. Okay.
His grandfather and all of us, we tried to steer him, and he was really good at baseball, and he could hit the ball.
Yeah,
for sure.
And he could throw it a little bit too.
Yeah,
He could throw. So like, I know. Let's talk about those. I brought up Waco, and you smiled because that was some good times.
That was a great time. That was something. And then they went the next year.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the first time in years that anybody from Arkansas has even made it that far.
Yeah.
So that was a really good. That was a good time for the whole family.
Yeah. So I knew that. So I was part of that next team that got to go, and then they went and did like Bryant baseball after that blew up. It was like Tyler's bunch set the standard for like that little league, Babe Ruth, Cal Ripken, what they eventually did. But when I was at the park a lot, you said Grandpa, I saw him at the park.
Steve Glenn.
Yes, he was there so much.
Yeah.
And so
Lived there.
Yeah.
He was actually the president at one time.
Wow.
For a few years. Yeah.
And so it's cool now, and during that time, because you had Tyler, Tara, was your fishing kind of on pause, or still did y'all get to go for fun?
Well, we could go for fun. Of course, Tyler was pretty much out of the picture. He's baseball,
Yeah.
Gone. We were going with him, so the tournament fishing was kind of over.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I was thinking this, but I was thinking, we had him and had Tara, and I was thinking, man, when these kids get a little older, I want to be able to fish tournaments again because they can get around and all that. I was at dance recitals, cheerleading, baseball games, basketball games. So it really, being at all those events was super important to me and my wife. And every time I looked up in the stands, my parents were there. And every time I could ever make it somehow, I didn't miss much.
Yeah.
But just for work, every once in a while. We went to everything.
Yeah,
and it's good for the kids. I mean, and you only got one shot to do that.
Yeah.
Once they get grown, you can't go back and have a redo.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about it on the phone, and I knew, like you said, you kind of stopped your hobby, like your tournament fishing hobby, for the kids, which is huge because like you even brought it up to me when we met one time, talked how the tournament guys do it, the big time pro anglers, how they miss kid events. They don't get to, and you were like, hey, I really, like, it was important to you to be there for them.
It is. It's important to be with your family, and you take them. They've always been like my friends.
Yeah.
My wife and I, we kind of stick to our little circle, if we ever went on vacation, it wasn't just her and I. We always took the kids, or we always took them everywhere we could with us when we could, and that was just super important to me as a father, and her as a mother. And I'll tell you something too, she puts up with a lot.
Yeah.
I love her. She it wasn't like I just started fishing yesterday and got a hobby and took off and started going. I've always done that. She knows that, and I've always told her I don't go to get away from you. You can go with me anytime. I go just because I just love being on the water. I don't even have to fish. I could just take you and watch you fish.
Yeah.
As long as we're in the water, that's the big thing.
Man, yeah, that's great. So now Tyler's fishing with you now, though. So like Tyler got into it. When did Tyler kind of get into it?
Kind of late.
Yeah, because when I was like, I fished when I was growing up. I was pond hopping. I did the junior bass stuff before high school fishing happened. And like I did the co-angler stuff a little bit, but like Tyler was never one of those guys like in his grade. There's a couple kids in his grade that fished. He wasn't one of them, so he got into it eventually.
He did. He kind of came in. We had some weekends, here and there. Even when he went and played college ball, when he come in for breaks, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Bad thing is when he got there, usually the weather was cold, and he never. This is honestly the last couple of years been the first time he's ever fished in the summer or spring. They just got to see that, but he's really. I think he's fallen in love. He loves fishing tournament, likes to be out there. He's competitive.
Yeah.
But the whole time that was going on, my daughter, That's the one that was going with me a lot.
Yeah.
And you put her a jig head worm on with a spinning reel, and she'll put it on you. I'm telling you.
I've seen her hook some big fish.
Yeah, she's caught some good fish in her time, but either one of them, I used to have friends I'd go with and friends I'd go with, and now they're just gonna have to take a back seat because the kids they're going first. I'd rather be with them than anybody.
So you and Tyler this year, was it the first tournament? It was early in the year. Didn't y'all win one at Hamilton together?
Yeah, we won. I want to think that was an anvil jaw.
Was it Anvil Jaw or the tournament
no,
series?
it was. Yeah,
Freeman's. It was Freeman's tournament.
It sure
series.
was.
Yeah.
It was Lance Freeman. It sure was.
So was that y'all's first win together?
Yeah, it was. First win.
Pretty special, huh?
It was cool.
Which I hadn't been fishing tournaments long though. That's as a father-son duo.
Yeah, not long at all. We talked about it last year, but we kind of put it off. I fished Mr. Bass last year, and that's really the first big trail that I've ever fished since the kids were smaller.
Yeah.
And I really got kind of talked into it. I was fishing the winter series. We go fish Hamilton and all the little winter things, and stuff like that. Fish with the kids there, and Keith Lanier, everybody knows him, and Chris Houston. That was always Keith's partner, and he kind of he goes, "Man, you need to fish Mr. Bass. You need to fish Mr. Bass." I said, "Keith, I don't have any business out there. Those guys they live on the water. They're there every day. They got a week to practice, go find fish." And I said, I just got to kind of show up, but I really had a good time last year fishing. It was there was a few tournaments that we all stayed together and kind of got away. It's first time for that.
Yeah, that's something that I've not got to do yet. So like when I had Timmy on the podcast, Timmy shared his little group he stays with. He's been doing it for a long time. Like you just said, last year was your first kind of getting back in it, doing it. But like when Timmy told me like his house he stays with when they do them travel, I'm like, dude, that sounds like a vacation to me.
Yeah.
Like you practice for 3 days with your bros, but I know it's not a vacation.
No, it's just some work.
It's work. Yeah, it's work. You're putting that entry fee on the line. You're trying to find fish and so last year, you had a couple good tournaments. I mean, we're going to talk about this one in a minute. We're going to get to this one because that was a big one. But you've always been a guy I've known that's caught big bass. And then you went down to Millwood last year and you caught it. And Keith, so time out. The roommates caught double digits. What are y'all on? I mean,
man, of all the people that were in the tournament, I'd like that he actually won the big bass.
He won the big bass, but you had a double digit and didn't win big bass.
Man, I put way up in at White Cliff, and I caught that fish in Horseshoe. And I didn't even weigh it. I just grabbed it and threw it. And I only had about 45 more minutes to fish.
Wow.
I was thinking, man, if I could just get one more of those, you might win, And anyway, so here I am with this big bass. I said, man, I hate to drive all the way back down to weigh in, but I'll probably get big bass. I never weighed it though. But while I'm walking up to get a bag, they're announcing everything. They say, I hear Keith Lanier, 11, whatever it was. And I went, oh, dadgummit, man, of all the times. And then so I ended up coming in second. So we joke at each other all the time. I call him Big Bass Lanier. He calls me Big Bass Buzz. And we have fun.
He's caught some big bass.
Oh, yeah. Keith can fish now. He can find them. Keith and I grew up together.
Okay.
Our parents were real good friends. And, years back then, a lot of parents would get together and play cards and rook and all that stuff. And the kids would be just running all over the place. So Keith's got a sister, Kim, that I'm actually the same age of. He's a couple years older than I am. But we talk all the time. Good guy.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Awesome. So last year, like I said, Mr. Bass sounds like it was your first year getting back in. And I kind of forgot that, like thinking about the results now, it was. But we had the Classic. And that was your first Classic, which is a 2-day event. Was it 2 days, right?
2 days.
It was at Lake Darnell.
Tough.
In the fall.
It was tough.
Yeah, talk about that. So guys, if you don't know, I mean, a lot of y'all, I know Arkansas people listen, he won it. But kind of let us know, like, the practice, just the whole, because it was tough.
Yeah.
Because during that time, I was talking to guys in it, and they were like, dude, I don't know if I can get 5 bites.
It was tough. So I guess in practice, I went up Thursday. The tournament was Saturday and Sunday. So I went up Thursday and just fished, and I caught a few fish, just nothing that just made me too excited about it. But the second day I just changed everything. I went up in Piney and started Friday, I went up to Piney and practiced up there, and I just threw a DD-22 all day, just something with a big bill on it, and had 4 nice, 3-pounders, maybe a 4. And I had a bunch of fish on the ledge up there that would come up about noon and start breaking. And you can catch them on a Carolina. They thought Carolina rigging and they hit it every time. But I just kept thinking, I said, man, it's just not enough. That ain't going to work. Not with these guys.
Yeah.
It ain't, I'm just going to be coming in 20th if I caught those fish. And so I guess Saturday, the day of the tournament, I remember it's Friday night, I'm laying there in bed going, what am I going to do? How many times have you done that?
Yeah, hey, I'm doing that for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, I already told you, I'm like, man, 30 mile per hour wind, I'm going to go to Lake at 1. What am I going to do?
I'll be doing that Saturday
You're
right
going to be
behind
doing
you.
that Saturday.
So I'm laying there and I'm thinking, what am I going to do? Well, I had a little place that had some Kentuckys, and there, I thought, well, let me just see if I can just catch a couple fish there and then just go big fishing the rest of the day. So I pull out the first stop, catch about 3 short Kentuckys because they made the length limit 13, and everybody was it didn't matter, but then I actually caught one. It was about 14-inch Kentucky, and I thought, well, I've got this one. I got to have 4 big bites. This ain't gonna do it, So at anyway, about 9. I think the first day I had 11 pounds.
Yeah.
And heck, I was in 8th place. I mean, that's how tough it was.
It was. I was about to say, you were in the top 10. You were in the top 10.
Top 10 with nothing, And I thought, well, I got a shot, So caught the little Kentucky. It was about 9 o'clock. And I said, well, I'm going to go to this big line of grass over here and flip this jig and see what happens, and stick with it, give it a chance. And I was there about an hour, man, catch about a 3-pounder, And then but I'll just say between 9 and 2, I caught my 4 biggest fish, all my fish out there. I'll tell you a quick story was at about noon, I think about 12:30.
Yeah.
And I got 3 nice fish in the live well. I just need I'm thinking, man, if I could just catch 1 or 2, 2 more would be great. And I sat there, and at 3 different times I wanted to leave. I never started the boat. My grass were dying. I mean, I never cranked the bat. I was babysitting the fish, ice, this, that, making sure they're good. Up and down this one stretch is about 300 yards, and I never started the motor again. But I did at one time, life jacket, strap the rods down. I was getting ready to head back up to Piney. I said, because I kept thinking in my mind, kept saying, man, if you can go up there and just grab one of them real quick and get back down, that's going to help. But I just didn't want to spend the time running.
Yeah.
It's weird when you're out there.
Yeah.
If you start thinking and thinking and thinking, and if you just sit down and relax, I had those cranes keep coming in, and they're coming in for a reason. They know more than we do.
Yeah.
And they're coming in because them bait fish are moving up there. So I just took my life jacket back off, stayed right there. I said, I'm going to either win it or not right here.
Yeah.
And at 2 o'clock, I caught my biggest fish.
What was that size again? How big? It was like a 4-pounder?
Yeah, it was a little over 4 pounds. But, I didn't have any just real big fish. I just had a lot. I just had 5 good fish.
Yeah. I remember watching the live. Because like I said, I knew guys in it. I like to watch this stuff. I know I don't fish, and we'll talk the tournaments. We might talk about that. Goes back to family, as I mentioned, But my family situation. But I saw you come in with your bag, and I was like, Buzz has a chance. He has a chance, and now hearing that, it's so cool. Like the whole never leave fish to find fish.
Yeah.
And I think in them grind tournaments, that is a huge thing in your mind. Like if I'm around them, in areas lakes like Darnell, Millwood's another one. I've lived by it at Millwood, and you can think of other lakes. I don't know about the Hot Springs lakes because they're just they're a little different. But like if you're around a group of fish, just put the trolling motor down and catch every one that you can.
That's right.
Instead of running. That's cool. Like
I didn't catch many. I only had 8 bites all day, but they were the five ones I needed, you know. But and I really didn't think when I was coming in, I really didn't think nothing of it. And I get out and I go up there and weigh in. And Chris Houston comes up to me and goes, "Dude, I think you just won this thing."
You're like,
and I
no.
said, "No way, man." He goes, "There ain't nobody else coming in." Chris is a great guy, by the way, man. I don't know if you've met him much, but
No, I'd like to have Chris on here one day. I don't know Chris.
Yeah,
I just know he
Chris.
catches. I just know he takes a lot of people's money.
yeah,
And I've heard he's a great guy.
And he can catch some fish.
He don't have
man.
live scope on his boat, does he? Does he have live scope?
Yeah,
now?
he's got a live
He
scope,
does
but he's
now?
got his trolling motors on. If it had a 10 on it, that's what it'd be
Yeah,
on.
yeah, okay, yeah.
he rolls.
Yeah. So he told you at the weigh-in you're about to win it.
He said, "Man, I think you just won this thing." And I said, "You got to be kidding, man." He goes, "No, man. He said, you're in the lead right now. There ain't nobody else coming in."
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm standing in a crowd of people, and this is the funniest thing, because, you know, you go by, when I'm driving to the lake, and I see some guy over with a trailer problem, it just makes me sick to my stomach,
Yeah.
man. And I'm like, man, that could be me. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
I've
yeah.
been there, and it sucks. Excuse me, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
terrible.
yeah.
But anyway, so my wife's always heard me griping about this and that when we were driving by and seen somebody broke down or whatever. But so anyway, I back up. I'm in this crowd of people, and I back up, and I'm trying not to, you know, just look. So I call my wife, and I'm kind of shaking, man. I'm a little nervous, you know. I call her, and I said, "Joyce." She goes, "Yeah." I said, "You're not going to believe this." And she said, "You got a flat tire." That's how much. That's how much she believed in me. You know?
Wow.
I said, "No." I said, "I think I just won this tournament." And I was trying to keep back from everybody. 'Cause I
Yeah.
didn't want to hear no, because I might not have. You know?
Yeah.
And she goes, "Are you kidding, Mom?" And just goes all crazy and stuff. So that was really a cool deal. And then when they pointed out to me to go to the picnic table and take the lie detector test, I went, "I guess we just pulled this off."
Well, you're
somehow.
like I'm in it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, man. So it was kind of neat too. On the way home,
Yeah.
I'm listening to the radio,
Uh-huh.
and old Peter Frampton came on. "Do you feel like I do?"
Oh wow.
And
Wow.
I know, man. It was just kind of cool, man.
You got
Just
that trophy. You got that trophy right here next to you.
I was just sitting there, I just couldn't believe it, man. You know what I
Yeah.
mean, because those guys are awesome fishermen.
Oh yeah.
They're way better than I am. I mean, they're on there all the time. They know what's going on up there. You know, I hadn't fished Dardanelle a whole lot since back in the day when I was 16 fishing. You know, then I was, you know, running it quite a bit. But I just had to kind of stay put, man. I just kept thinking there's a good channel coming right by there, and I just said, man, one can move up here any second, man.
That's cool to hear, like, and for you to live that moment, like, and to be able to remember it, like, you sat in your boat, life jacket on, and you're like, no, I'm gonna, like decisions like that is like winning moments.
And it was just, you know, I was sitting there asking, you know, I'll tell you what, I know it sounds crazy, but I think of my dad. My dad's passed away. And I catch myself in situations, because I was with him a lot in the boat.
Yeah.
And I'd sit there and go, all right, what would my dad do right now?
That's awesome, man. That is so cool. So, hey, tournament-wise, like, you're back in it. We just mentioned live scope. When you were 16 years old, was there flashers in the boat?
Even when I was younger,
Yeah.
there was a rope with a rock on it.
That's what I'm talking
I'm
about. I hope
talking
y'all
a rope.
I'm
with a
hoping my
rock.
young guys are listening to this.
And I see my dad get up there and let that rope out and see about how deep the water was,
Yeah.
you know. And then the flashers came out. I still got I've got the old flashers.
You got
still
the
in
old
my box.
flasher.
That's
Keep it. Hopefully the grandkids will get it one day.
Yeah,
Yes.
they won't know what it is.
They won't
What
know,
the
but
heck?
it might be worth some money.
Yeah. You see, you learn how to read those, you know. I mean, you could see a brush pile and you could see fish popping up and stuff like that. But yeah, we had nothing like this. And, you know, I'm trying to learn more about it because of, you know, these younger guys, yourself, y'all whipping our butts with that thing out there, you know.
But you're still competing.
60 foot
Yeah,
of
I know.
water
That's
throwing
one thing, though. You're throwing a little chicken in the middle. So you're still competing, though. That's one thing. So I was on the phone with Briar Hayslip on the way over here. Briar's been texting me. We talk quite a bit.
Fisherman.
Yeah, we talk quite a bit. And he's one of my former students. Great relationship with him. And he's been texting. I've been so busy the last 2 days. And I'm like, hey, so I called him. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, hey, I'm about to go do a podcast with Buzz. He's like, no, Buzz. He goes, Hammer. I was like, yeah, he's done all right. He's like, man, tell him I said hello. He's like, and he's one of the respectable guys. So like, that's the thing with like, I know like still not like some of the older guys I know are learning it. You're trying, but like y'all have y'all strengths. Y'all's when your gut tells you, like the Gray recently at the team trail, You got second or third in it?
I actually finished third
You finished third by yourself.
by myself.
Tyler couldn't make it that day.
No, he didn't need to.
He didn't
had
need-
engagement photos,
He had to,
and he needed to be there.
Yeah.
Believe me. Yeah,
So-
he don't want to.
so, but like that day, for example, I haven't even talked to you about the tournament. I know beforehand we talked on the phone. We've been trying to get one of these set up. You struggled at Washita, Mr. Bass. Struggled at another tournament, and you were like you're like wanting to jump off a cliff.
Well, I had 10 to 12 pounds in the both tournaments, but I knew it wasn't going to
Yeah.
be any good. And the weigh-ins were way off,
Yeah.
you know, from where I was fishing. And I thought, I'm just going to stick it out there again. The time, I'm just going to sit here, and if I catch one here at the last minute, I'll try to make a run. But it just wasn't. It kind of wasn't worth the run down there and
Yeah.
back to the truck, you know. So, but
But then you bounced back at DeGray though.
yeah, the gray was.
15
that
pounds
was a
is not
team-
easy. 15
that-
pounds isn't easy out there right now. Or that tournament it wasn't.
No, it appeared it didn't. You know, it.
Uh-oh, phone call.
Hang on, yeah,
We'll be
I was
all
trying-
right.
Yeah, it was. Tyler wasn't with me, and I just kind of just tried to stay in the wind. The wind was
It blew that day.
blowing.
Yeah, it blew that day.
I just said, all right, stay in the wind and tried a few things early. You know, jerk bait wasn't working for me. Spinner bait. And I just picked up that 3/4 rattle trap and put all my other rods back in the boat.
And just
And said,
committed.
this is it.
And committed to it.
I'm gonna catch, because I caught a couple fish real early on it.
Yeah.
And then so I got back out in the wind over there and just started going down the bank, and I'd get to a point, and I think, well, I probably need to leave. I said, man, I've caught some fish on top water, right? Let me just go right down. That's when I caught my biggest fish.
Oh, nice.
I was about never get there again. I was getting ready to leave, and I thought, man, just another 50 yards.
Yeah, let's just go through here.
Yeah, and anyway, so yeah, I tried to circle back around to some of those spots later, and I just couldn't get I just needed another couple pounds.
Yeah, but did live scope? So live scope wasn't a factor for you that tournament.
No, I didn't. It wasn't really. And it was for. No, it wasn't a way because the grass, you know, the grade was kind of low, so you had all the grass was up in. You could be in 12 foot of water and see the grass, the tops of it, you know, and so it kind of helped me stay on that line a little bit,
Yeah.
you know, but I wasn't looking for fish. I wasn't doing that. I just want to know how deep the water was.
Yeah,
you know.
but that trap bite, like if you're gonna,
You gotta roll.
You gotta live or die by it.
Yeah.
But when you're living by it, it's a day.
Mhm.
It's a day. I know there's
It's a hard day.
Yeah, they're
I'm sore, man. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Man, so like, and that's what you're talking about, the live scope and catching them deep, and that's what's like, you know, I might have, you know, told you, I've been fishing, man, since I was about 16, hard at it, and my whole thing was learning how to catch bass offshore with 2D sonar even. That's what we started doing it, me and my buddy Johnny, and then we went to a couple lakes. I remember Washita even catching them deep with a jig in the winter, like, and then the Alabama rig came at bow, and I had 1 year with it, then I quit throwing it. And I shouldn't have quit throwing it, but I quit throwing it. Did the hair jig thing. Sometimes
yeah.
sometimes a jerk bait, but then the live scope, all it's done is opened more doors and like made me more efficient at fishing offshore. And I like doing it. You know, like I told you, we talking about sight fishing. Like I'm terrible at it. I need to come with you in the boat and just watch. You know, you're talking about hanging out in the boat.
That's one of my favorite things. I mean, really, I could just go down, never even make a cast until but it's fun. It's fun watching how those bass react on there. Now, there's a lot of guys that do it and are really good at it. That's just kind of, it's really fun to watch the fish and move and trying to gauge where they're, all right, this one's going to bite, this one isn't. You can tell. You can tell once you do it enough. And really just growing up on the river, fishing flats and, you know, stuff like that, I'm probably more of I can fish with you. I can sit out there in 30 foot of water if you want to. But that's helped me be real versatile.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, from fishing on Arkansas River, the White River, all these lakes, you know, clear water, dirty water. You know, heck, we go to, I'm a member out there at the Old River, and that's fun to go out there every once in a while, you know. But it's made me just, or helped me. I can pick a spinning rod up if you want to, or we can go 25-pound chatterbait or whatever you want to do. But I'm more of a probably I'd say 20-foot in
Yeah.
person. So I like seeing all you guys out in the middle of the lake
Yeah,
as
yeah.
you're getting off the bank.
Because we're off your spot. You're trying not to say that, but you're like, hey,
I'm
y'all
gonna go
stay
ahead
out
and tell
there.
you, Keith Lear, we were
Yeah.
both talking about. He said, I hope everybody goes out there and gets live scope and stays out in 50 foot of water. And then we got the whole bank to ourselves because it gets crowded up there, man. At Hamilton,
Yeah,
you got a big
Hamilton it
field.
does. Yeah,
Yeah,
Hamilton
it's
it being
crowded.
smaller, and I think there is like a little bit of a. People were seeing these top dudes do it, but like we're like yesterday, for example, Del Hollow, they're there right now too. Do you keep up with the BPT and all that?
Not much, man. I'm busy, man. We're
Yeah.
roofing and
So the Del Hollow event, which it's smallmouth factory, good largemouth, and Drew Gill was leading after day one. He's like right now one of the best young live scopers. But the thing about him is he's committed to it. Like he only has spinning rods in his boat. He had a bait caster on his deck finally, but like he's been known. But he's committed to it and he's good at it. But like you have those guys like Edwin Evers, these other pros have been successful. And Jason Christie, he's an elite guy. But like Edwin yesterday only had 2 fish, and I'm like, Edwin's a hammer.
yeah.
And like I know Edwin knows how to go out there and do it, but those guys that are like that middle age that are like doing both, they struggle. And
Yeah.
it's like you kind of have to pick which one you're gonna do. And right now I think a lot of people are trying it. They're going out, and it's not easy, but it is opening the bank up. And around here, a 1-day tournament, you don't need to go out there like in the wind. I mean, you could, like you said, that 3/4 ounce rattle trap. If it's on, it's on.
Yeah, and it does. Somebody like myself, it gets you a little. One thing you got to do, you always got to ask yourself, I think, is, and you do the same thing, is everybody's got their own little strength thing.
Yeah.
And what are you good at? What do you What do you have confidence in?
Yeah, the confidence.
Confidence is huge, man. And everybody knows that. But
Yeah.
you got to think you're going to catch a fish every time you throw out there. You're
Yeah.
not going to. You can't just be throwing out there and looking at the
Yeah.
clouds and worrying about what you're going to eat for lunch. I mean, it's you got to be zeroed in. That's why my wife don't like to go with me, because she says you don't ever talk. And I said, I'm fishing. I don't think we're not talking. And we talk on the way home. But and I won't eat anything. I mean, I'm just taking. My time to be on the water is real important,
Yeah.
to me, and I don't want to be out there just, jacking around.
Yeah, that's right.
Trying to catch them as
Yeah.
you can,
Yeah, so you mentioned you've been busy with the roofing business. When did you start your business?
Well, I sold roofs for a couple years,
Uh-huh.
and then great guy. We've always had our, I grew up in the grocery business. My grandparents, my
Okay.
parents,
Mhm.
so we've always had our own business, And Joey and I were talking, and we were just sitting there thinking, why don't we just? I like the fact of being in business for myself, and I thought, the kids were excited about it, and what's really cool about it is I get to see my kids all the time.
Yeah.
I'm riding with Tyler some. I got Tara. I'm with my wife, so I'm with my family a lot in our business, and it's been a really good move. It's got me a little freedom where I can
Yeah.
pick and choose and fish, and some days Tyler can take care of things, or Tara can take care of, or whatever. I've got just 2 or 3 salespeople that help out, and got a really great crew that man, I don't even have to be there. I mean, they're just really, they know what to do, so, and do it right. We don't take any shortcuts, but it's been it was kind of like, well, we can do our own company, our own business. It's so came up with Sawco. Our last name's Sawyer. Well, our grocery store is called Sawyer's.
Okay, yeah.
So I got tired of hearing everybody's like, name it Salt. We were thinking of a name of a company.
Yeah.
And I had a friend, and he used his last name like that on the company, and different kind of. There's a metal building company in Hot Springs, but and we kind of said it, and it's, man, that sounds kind of different,
Yeah.
And so we kind of went with that, and then of course we got the boat wrapped and everything.
Oh, yeah.
That the kids like that, and I call them kids. I know they're older, but to
No,
me,
they're your kids.
they're all this
Hey,
big, man.
yeah.
I mean, they still like little kids.
No,
to
they're
me.
your kids, yeah.
But
my
so it's been
father-in-law
fun.
says that he said you're always going to be a kid. To us.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah.
that's right.
I'm like,
That's
yes, sir.
That's right. No matter how big they get or
Yeah.
marry or whatever happens, man, they're just you look at them different.
Uh-huh.
So,
I say after, and that's what we're talking about the tournament side now, like going back to that, like I told you on the phone, I've told people, like Matt Baker the other day, me and Matt were talking, and he was like, dude, why you're on the water more than anybody? You know, Matt's on it a lot, but like he's like, you're on the water a lot. Why are you not jumping the tournaments yet? And I told him, like I told you, hey, I got a 2-year-old, a 4-month-old. I want to give them my weekends, unless if I do have a trip here and there. But I'm lucky to be on the water during the week. It's slowed down lately, but like, well, I say slow down. April, this is the 10th of April. This is going to come out next week, but the 10th of April, I'll be on the water 5 days. So that's nice, one every 2 days. February, 29 days was in February. I was on the water in 20. So, like, I'm very thankful and fortunate for that. I don't want to go and now do tournaments because I want to spend time with them. But there is going to be a time because I'm competitive and it's starting to kind of, like when I was coaching, that was my everyday like competitiveness. Teaching, coaching, fishing was my dang getaway. But now, like, oh, there's a side, I want to go jump in it. Last year I did a couple tournaments, made some money. But yeah, the family, I've kind of, and I know as my kids get older, baseball's going to happen. Daughter, I don't know what she's going to want to do. She cheers, whatever she does, whatever she wants to do, she's going to do. That's just how it goes. You know how it goes.
Oh, yeah.
So,
let them do what they want to do.
Because I even, we and my wife were talking earlier. I was like, yeah, we were talking about the baseball and this. And she's like, they still do like rec league games on Saturday. And I just stared at her. I was like, I want to be at Washita at Saturday, just on the island hanging out.
yeah, just on the water somewhere.
But that's awesome that you have had opportunities, you've taken it. And I know like having your own business isn't easy. Like you have to take steps.
It's just such a gamble, you know.
It is a
to
gamble.
make it work, you know. And I'm not gonna lie, man. I was a little nervous. I was like, man, I don't know what's about to happen, but something's gonna happen, whether it's good or bad. But it helped me get out of, you know, even when I went to Sawyer, it helped me get out of a spot where I didn't have any time. You know, I was selling vehicles at Everett.
Y'all are up there a lot.
They got a great company and everything. Nothing against it. That's just the way the car business is.
You're
bro.
up there.
You're up there all the time.
Yeah.
And you know, Ronnie Everett.
Yeah, Ronnie. Yeah.
You know, he worked there. And he told me one day. He said, if you come up here before I started, if you come up here, you're not gonna be able to fish, Jimmy. And I said, what are you talking about? Get 2 days off.
Yeah.
He said, you're going to need those days to rest.
Yeah, because y'all are up there.
You're up there all
8 o'clock to 8 o'clock at night.
Well, 7 to 10 or
7.
12.
Oh, yeah,
Sometimes I was the last guy leaving, you know.
Yeah, well, if someone comes in at 8 or 9 to buy a car, you're selling it. You're selling it.
I don't mean my wife's, you know, bless her heart, I'd be leaving. I mean, we could leave like 7:30, and I'd be heading to the truck, and so I'd see somebody looking around. I'd say, hey, is there anything I can help you with? And they said, no, I know you're closing and everything. We just came to look. And I said, you like that car? Yeah. If I can make you a heck of a deal on it, would you buy it tonight? Yeah, we'll buy it tonight. Well, let's go. Yeah. And I'm supposed to go out to eat. I'm having to make that phone call, man. And it was tough, you know. But got in the roost sales, had a ton of freedom selling roosts, you know. Didn't have all the business end of it on me, so had a lot of freedom there. And got back to fishing more and fishing, you know, around. And then when we decided to open that up, Tyler announced he was coming home, and I thought, well, that's cool. He was up in Missouri at Crowder coaching for 10 years. And, real proud of him for
and
that.
guys, just so you know, coaching college baseball, which there's no life in coaching college sports. I did it, and he did the travel baseball.
Yeah,
he was doing the sticks baseball too
on the summer. Yeah,
and so he had. It was fun, but he didn't have much of a life.
Yeah.
I mean, it was his life. It was like me with coaching. Football was it.
Mm-hmm. And he enjoyed it because you know the kid, he knows it, man. Yeah. Like you do. I mean, you guys got a little. Y'all are special for knowing way more than the average person about those sports.
Yeah, I love armchair like fans where I'm hanging around like people that are watching a game. I don't care if it's basketball, football, and they just start talking about this, and I'm just like, y'all have no idea.
No, don't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
All the signals, all the little stuff that's sneaking in.
Like, why'd he call that? And I'm like, guys, that guard went the wrong way. That was not what, or that receiver. I can just tell when stuff, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But with Tyler and then coming back down, it worked out. Like I said earlier on the podcast, you mentioned very family oriented. Wanted to be there, and now they're working for you. You get to see them.
Working with
Pretty
us.
neat.
Yeah, it is cool. And that's the way I was raised. I mean, we worked with our mom, dad, grandma, did the books, granddad was there. I mean, we were, And we had to work.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd go to school, and everything, but some afternoons we'd go and have to go to the store. And, my grandfather, he was and my dad, they were hard workers.
Yeah.
And I guess some of that stuff's, I've picked up some of that from them, but the tournament fishing's, I hate losing, man. And so you got to get to be able to learn how to lose. Instead of getting mad, you need to think, all right, what could I have done different, and try to help yourself. I'm not a good loser.
Well, in tournaments, that's the thing.
That helps you out, I guess. Sometimes you're not.
Yeah. So tournament fishing, though, like you hear the pros talk about it, and even at this level, like you said you hate losing, but how hard is it to win? There's only so many tournaments a year. 100 dudes are there, or 150 like lately. And it is not easy. Like last year, what Timmy and Jeremiah did in the team trail, winning 2 of them, I mean, that's not easy.
No.
And even like right now at the top circuit, Cannell's won 2 this year. That's not easy. I mean, dude, like you winning that thing, that's not easy.
That's something I'll never forget that. That is something that was really special, Everybody's like, how much did you win? I said, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Don't matter. How much you did? How much did you? It don't matter. I said the recognition from family, friends, so many guys were calling me that I don't even know them, but they were in the tournament or this or that, and that meant more than that meant more than anything.
Yeah.
Because they knew the guys, especially the guys who were out there fishing, knew how tough that day was.
Yeah.
Or those 2 days, and that was it was just something, man. It was really special.
Well, to close it out, man, you've done, like I said, we've gone 40 minutes, been pretty good. Talking about, it seems like you've done well in tough tournaments. Like, would you rather be a tougher tournament or a slugfest?
I'd rather be tough.
Well, hey, you think this Saturday, now the podcast will be out after the tournament. I'm making a prediction Saturday's going to be tough. Second day post front. So, it sounds like you might have a chance.
Well, we'll see, man.
Tyler fishing with you? You by yourself?
Tyler's going.
Okay.
We're going to load up. He'll be coming in Friday night, and then we'll head out.
Yeah.
Head out to fish a tournament. So, wish us luck.
Yeah.
It always I'll take luck anytime it's offered.
In fishing, it is like there's some times like you got a big fish up there on the wall. You've caught big fish, and there's, I know things about going and catching big fish, but man, we don't know how the fish are going to react. There's so much. There's so much to that. Yeah, we don't.
You don't. Yeah. It does have some luck involved. I mean, but you got to have a good idea of what's going on or what could be happening. But it's a good challenge out there for everybody every time they go. How many times have you been to Washita and smoked them and then go take your buddy back and can't even get a bite?
DeGray's been that to me. Like DeGray, we hammered them out there in January, February. Warm spell came, and then after that it's been here. But even like those later trips in March, bad.
Yeah.
Like now I could catch 10 pounds of spotted bass.
Yeah.
But catching that 15. Now we hooked a couple bigs.
Yeah, you had that monster out there.
So and like even since then we've lost 3, maybe 2 that were bigs. I'm talking, and it like hurt because I know like get those fish in the boat, just what it does. I mean, they both were 8-pound plus fish, and then we had the 12.5 caught. That was during part of the heyday. That was crazy.
That was awesome.
That was I've told people about it. I've told you like. My man made a perfect cast past that fish, and he was struggled all morning. It was at 9 o'clock or 10. I already had 15 pounds in the boat. They ate that day. I'm talking eating. Catching fish out of grass, catching fish suspended. That fish was deep, moved up shallow, 8 foot, shallow edge of a grass line. And we're arguing on like throwing at it. I'm like, throw at it. He's like, no. I'm like, yes, this is your fish. Throw at it. No, I've been messing up. So he missed a couple, made some bad casts, and I'm following. Like I'm barely, trolling motor's like 3, and I'm just barely moving because that fish is swimming away. And I'm like, dude, you're throwing at it. It's a 7-pound fish, and it was swimming that way. Now little did I know it wasn't a 7-pound fish. and because when I get in these live scopes, they're all different. And we caught some 3-pounders that morning. And I kind of had an idea of what like the size was, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't, like, every unit's different. Man made the perfect cast, like 100-foot cast in line, worked it up, and then that fish just went up like a bottle rocket. And never, then it never jumped or nothing until we got to the boat. Like, I'm over here, hey, it's a 7-pound fish. And he's like, this might be my PB. I'm like, sweet. Where's your net? I don't got a net. I'm like, oh, great.
Yeah.
We got a spinning rod, 7-pound fish. And then it never jumped. And then he's like, man, I think it's a catfish. And it went straight to deep water.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And it went down. It never came up or nothing. And I'm like, dang, it's probably a catfish. And then it came right there on the side of the boat, and I panicked and grabbed that thing. And,
I heard that.
yeah, but man, I appreciate you being on. Thank you,
thanks
Buzz.
for having me, man. I really enjoyed it.
Yes, sir, man. Guys, appreciate if you have any questions for Buzz. Leave us a comment down below if you're watching it on the YouTube channel. If not, I know we have it on we have on all the major podcast platforms. Appreciate it, guys, and we'll hear you, or you'll hear us. See us on the next episode.